All right, you can go on.
Okay, I'm still trying to get myself accustomed, right, with the Coachly platform, and it's quite interesting. So yeah, can everyone see me? Can everyone see me? Can everyone hear me?
Yes, I can
Okay.
see you, and people are confirming that they can hear and see you as well. You can check the
Oh,
chat.
okay. Okay, that's fine then. That's fine then. Okay. So thank you so much, and it's so good to see everyone. I wish I could see like your faces, but I think I'll the reactions. I'll just stick with that. Thank you so much for the invitation, Coach Lee, and it's so good to be here. Thank you to everyone who tuned in. So I'm not sharing my slides because I don't want this to feel like another lecture. I don't want to bore you guys out. So I'm just going to be reading from my slides, and just I want us to have like a conversation. I want us to enjoy this process as much as possible. Just give me a few minutes, guys. Let me check on something. Okay. Okay, so everything looks good. Okay. Yes, everything looks good. Everything looks good. Okay, so thank you so much once again for the invitation, and thank you for having me here. So we're going to be talking about finding your purpose and building your personal brand, creating that unique identity. And um and as I talk about this, I would also like to maybe share a part of my story. Maybe you would get something from that, because I believe that using stories to teach can be a very effective way to get that message across. So if you have questions, you can just submit your questions. I'd like to answer them as well. Just to be sure, how many minutes do I have?
So the minutes is not like we don't have a specific minute, but we are thinking 30 to 45 minutes, 30 minutes for your session and 15 minutes for interactive session with questions and answers.
Okay, so 45 minutes. Okay, that's fine then. Thank you. Okay, so okay, thank you, Peace. Because I can see Peace's message as well. Okay, so we're just going to talking about finding your purpose. Now, um, there's just so much, right? And I believe that everyone who has joined here has is trying to build something, or maybe is thinking about it. You're probably thinking about building something. You're thinking about you're wondering how you can take yourself from where you are to where you're trying to get to, where you're trying to get to, right? You're thinking about your ideas. How do you bring your ideas to life? How do you ensure that you are able to turn your purpose into something that people can also get to understand? And that's where creating your personal brand comes to play. Like, everyone has a story. If you go to the streets and you meet people, random people, everyone has a story. But how do you take that story and how do you ensure that you make it into something very strong, into a strong personal brand, so that people can actually connect with that story? And and how do you find that purpose? How do you find the purpose for the purpose itself? Because from the purpose you have your values, you have your mission, your vision, all these different things. So I'd say that what I wrote here, I said finding purpose and building a personal brand, right? They are integral aspects of personal and professional development, and they contribute to leading a fulfilled and successful life. When you step out to do something or to say something, people ask questions. They're like, "Who are you? What do you do? Why should we listen to you? What is it about your story that we can connect with?" People are asking questions basically. You may not know those questions, but people are constantly asking. It's the same way when you visit people's Instagram pages, right? You visit a random page, you are asking yourself questions. You may not be asking those questions, you may not be saying them aloud, but you're actually asking yourself questions. You're asking yourself, why should I follow this person? Why should I listen to this person? What is it about this person? What is special about this person? What can I connect with? And one amazing thing about, building, your purpose, understanding your purpose or building your personal brand is that I'm sure you stumbled on pages where you see someone's page, you go through, their content, and you just take a step back because you're like, nah, I don't think I'm ready for this. And a different, maybe 2 years down the line, you find that page again, and then you follow that person because you're at that phase in your life. So the question is, or maybe not a question, but the first thing I'd like you to know is you're not for everybody. You're for a specific group of people. People who are looking to connect with you, people who are looking to learn or to get some sort of value from what you have to offer. So that's the first thing that you need to think about. You have a brand, you're who you are, you have your story, you have your mission, you have your vision. You're not for everybody. There are a lot of people who would never connect with you no matter what you do. But now there are people who would connect with you. There are people whose lives will be changed forever. There are people whose lives would be transformed because they just had that contact with you. So now, for those people, we're going to connect. We're going to try to figure out a way to find those people and connect with those people, and that's what we're having this session. So let's think about it, right? So now we've thought about creating your unique identity. We've talked about creating your finding your purpose. Why should you find your purpose? So in finding your purpose, there are a couple of things that I want you to think about. Or a couple of things I want you to do. So first is self-reflection. Identify your values, your passion, your strengths, your past experience, reflect on your past experiences, and try to understand what activities bring you joy and fulfillment. Because for people to really connect with your purpose or your story or your mission or your vision, you have to be true to yourself first. You have to be yourself. I'm not saying this to sound all cliche. Everyone says be yourself. No, I'm saying that you have to be true to yourself. Let me tell you something. You cannot pretend forever. Like, it's very difficult to pretend and keep pretending. One day you just come out of your shell. So you want to ensure that when you are creating your personal brand, you want people to connect with you. You want to create something that's actually very authentic. You want to express your authentic self. People need to know this is who you are. These are your values. This is what you stand for. And it's very important. If you don't do that, I've seen people create brands where they're creating their personal brand, but they're trying to be for everybody. And you cannot be for everybody because people can smell, something that isn't like, authentic from afar, and they'll just walk away. But what you're trying to do is to ensure that people understand who you are, people understand where you. So the first thing first is self-reflection. Who am I? What am I trying to achieve? Let me give you an instance. If I think about my personal brand, I built my personal brand around my story. Who am I? My name is Bolanle Banwo Osadolo. Okay, what do I love to do? I love to design. Um, I love to design. I am a geek in a way. I'm always in front of my computer. That one's already established. People who are like me, people who are interested in such things, will start to follow. Okay, now that one's already established. I love training people. I run a design school. Before I got into teaching and running my design school and all those different things, um, I don't want to miss my timing. I don't like my. I think my assistant is on the call as well. Please, when he's just notify me when he's. I don't want to go beyond my time. Okay, so as I was saying, you want to ensure that people actually understand what. I think I just lost my train of thought. What was I saying? Can anyone remind me? Is anyone on the call? I think I just lost my train of thought. Is Peace on this call? I know she helps me with that.
Okay, so you were talking about before you started teaching, before you started training. That
Oh
was
yes, thank you very much, thank you very much. So I realized that I was interested in design, but I could not afford design school. So that's where the why is. Why did I establish Geneza School? I established Geneza School so that I can create courses for people who cannot afford to go to some of these really big schools, and they can still learn, they can still get quality education. Now, why did I do all that? I did all that um, because of my own personal experiences, because of the things that I experienced, because of the things that I struggled with. I always tell people that I remember, going to Computer Village, buying my first laptop. I still have the contact of my Computer Village guy because he used to get me the best deals. I'll buy like a used laptop, and sometimes the battery will go bad, and he'll say, that's the way it is. Oh, I'll save money up, buy a new battery. There are people, when I share these stories, there are people who can connect with that. There are people who are still going through that phase of they're still in that phase of their lives where they're trying to just come out of that old situation. And they would see my story and say, okay, Bolanle was able to make it out of that entire situation. It means that I can make it too. And so these are things that we want to think about. What is it about your story? Be authentic about your story. If your father is $10 and you're super rich, and you cannot relate to all those things, it doesn't mean you should fake your story. Your story is you. There are people who would connect with you because they can relate with your personal experiences. And that is like the foundation of everything. Every brand, every successful brand is trying to build something, and they're trying to connect with people, right? Emotionally as well. And that's why you see Nike, they'll run ads, they say, just do it. So for your personal brand, building your personal brand, the first thing first is how do you get people to connect with you emotionally? It's not, I'm not saying that you should share some sorrowful story and then you want people to cry and things like that. No. How do you share your okay. How do you share your story where you get people to connect with you on that personal level? It's very important because you want to take your followers or people who have come in contact with you from being just followers to becoming brand advocates. Now, brand advocates are people who will do anything for you. Once you say, I have a product they want to buy, once you say, I have something to sell, they are always there. So those are brand advocates. Can everyone still see me? Beautiful. Can everyone still see me? I want to be sure. Can everyone hear me? Can everyone see me?
Yes, we can see
Um,
and hear you.
Okay, thank you. So, brand advocates are people who would connect with you, who would look at your brand and say, I love this person. Whatever this person sells, I'm ready to buy it. And you need to know that everyone is building a personal brand because you're trying to sell something or you're trying to build momentum for something you're going to sell in the future. Everyone is selling something. It may not be product, it may be anything. So you're trying to build that personal experience. You're trying to ensure people connect with you. So, like I said before, you're trying to take your audience from being just regular people who follow you to becoming your brand advocates. So, like I said before, the foundation is self-reflection. Who are you? What is your story? What is it about your story? Your story should always connect with whatever you're trying to promote. My life is all about God and design, and I'm constantly sharing my story. I'm talking about my past experiences, how I got into design, the things that I struggled with, why I established Geneza School. So if you look at that, it works. So think about your story now. Think about your story. What is it? What is it about your personal experiences? It could be that you've always wanted to be like a UX writer, but there were no schools, and now you've learned how to become the best UX writer in Nigeria, and you're trying to educate other people. It could be anything. It could be anything. So the next thing is you want to set goals. What are your goals? So establish a short-term goal. Okay, establish both short-term and long-term goals that align with your values. Break these goals down into actionable plans, or steps, so that it enables you to achieve something every day, right, to fulfill your goals. So for me, let's think about my brand now. Now I want to train people. My goal is to train 50,000 people, both male and female. You know, my goal is to spend the next 10, 15 years training people and hopefully train about maybe 50K to 100K people. Now, how do I achieve that? Collaboration. How do I achieve that? By being consistent online, my social media presence. So it means I need to build my personal brand. How do I build my personal brand? I need to be consistent. I need to create content around design because you need to understand that because you are who you are, because you have a compelling story, because you built your personal brand. Yes, your brand looks good. Yes, you've created content. People, you need to constantly show up. People need to remember you. People only refer people they remember. Some of the partnerships that we've gotten, right, are from people that found me on social media, and they were able to trust me because they realized that Bolale has been doing this for so long. And so they're like, yeah, I trust this person. I've not met her before, but she's been doing this. She's been running free trainings, paid trainings, every time design, 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 every time scholarship. That consistency, you need to be in the minds of people. So what is that plan? What is that actionable plan that you can make right now? It could start with, okay, I want to be consistent. I want to offer maybe free trainings. I want to offer maybe, Holy Spirit help me. I want to offer free trainings. I want to do something. It could be anything. What can you do towards your goals. Basically, how can you achieve those goals? So like I mentioned, for me, I decided to like improve my personal brand. I had the female designer movement where I started training women, and in recent times I've been creating content around, excuse me, I always forget to bring water when I'm speaking. Please just give me 1 minute.
Hi everyone. Yeah, so while we are waiting for her to get back on the screen, please you can start prepping up your questions so that when she's done speaking, um we go straight into the interactive session of the class and we can round it up. We don't want to waste any more time. So while we're waiting for her, we can quickly just ask type in our questions, jot it down somewhere, maybe on your phone screen or the chat button, anywhere, just so we can get back to it immediately she's done speaking. Thank you.
Okay, I'm back now. I'm so sorry, guys. I just had to take a bit of water. Um, okay, yes, I'm back now. Everyone can see me, right?
Yes, yes, we can see you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you so much, guys. So we've talked about self-reflection, we've talked about setting up your goals, and then recognize your strengths. So yeah, I wrote, we all have our strengths, right? We know our weaknesses, we know our strengths. So you want to develop, you want to identify your strengths and talents and embrace them fully. Now these things are very important because we, I've seen people say, I want to build a personal brand, Bolanle, and they just jump into it. Building a personal brand is beyond just the nice logo, the nice grid layout on your social media. You have to think about all these different things. And so that when people come to your personal page and when people come to your social media page, they're not confused about who you are. They know who you are, they know what you're trying to achieve, they understand you. You know, so do these things are very important. So you want to so yeah, we've talked about self-reflection, we've talked about setting up your goals. We've talked about recognizing your strengths. So I would also say seek guidance as well. You know, think about people who have gone ahead of you, people who are doing the things that you want to do. And you may not be able to connect with them directly, but you can at least study their profile, study their page, try to understand what they've done right. It is totally fine to do that. You want to learn a thing or two. You know, over the years I've seen people create designs that are very similar to mine, and I always just smile because it's very good in a way, because you want to evolve, you want to learn. You don't just think that you know everything. There are things that I'm still learning, and there are people that I still reach out to learn from them because they're like really up high there, and I want to understand, how they do the things they do. But if you're not able to reach these persons, you can learn from their page. You can just try to understand what they do. So seek guidance, embrace challenges, align with your core values. Um, so ensure that your goals and your actions are aligned with your core values. Evaluate your decisions based on whether they resonate with the sense of purpose, with your sense of purpose. So what are your values? Do they actually align with your purpose? Your values. So build your community. So let's talk about community building. Let's talk about community building. So now you want to build your community. Now you've established that you are who you are. Maybe your name is Folake, or your name is Kune, your name is Aziz. you know who you are, you know your name, obviously, you've created your page, you're trying to do something, you want to change the world, but then you need to start small. What do you want to do? Why do you want to do what you do? What is your story as it relates with your purpose, as it relates with your mission? Not your entire story of where you were born, or those things are not necessarily needed when you're building, when you're starting out. But your story as it relates to what people can connect with, what they can get from you, right? So like I said before, I always talk about design. So what is my story? I could not afford design school, but then I want to teach people. And so I spent over 10 years of my life just learning design, pushing myself, pushing my skill. And now I teach design. And so that is my motivation. That is why I do what I do. So think about your story. Why are you doing why do you do what you do basically? And what are you looking to achieve? When people, so one of the things I was going to say is this. The easiest way to reevaluate yourself or your personal brand is to open your page on maybe socials, right? And think about yourself as a random person and try to look at your brand and ask yourself, put yourself in the shoes of random people who will stumble on your page and ask yourself, what will I learn from this? Why should I follow this person? What should I learn from this person? What is so special about? Like, be very realistic. Now, think about it this way. Every time you visit those pages, you visit a random page. Why do you just leave? What makes you stay? There has to be something. So you need to reflect on these things. Why do you stay on those pages? Something got your attention. So if you want to share information, you want to create content, ensure that you make it very clear that this is what you do. Your name is this. There's this person on Instagram. His name is Plant Boy, and he talks about plants. And he has his followers, people who are plant lovers. You learn a lot from his page. You need to be very specific. This is what I do. This is who I am. If you go to my Instagram page, for instance, one of the things that I've done that really helps me is if you go to my page, you see my name, what I do, fast. I'm not wasting anybody's time. I'm a designer. I run this. Buy my courses. Maybe you can go to buy my courses. You can go to learn about what I do. I also design. You find everything there. And then the next thing, if you check the pinned post, you find different aspects of my life. One has to do with my story. I made a video about my story, where I started from, so that if you're meeting me, if you're visiting my page for the first time, you get the right introduction. You know whether you want to stay or not. You know whether you want to stick with this person or you want to just walk away. And so you're just making it clear. But if your page, when people visit your page, is very difficult to navigate, people don't know what you do. We only see like you have nice pictures, but you're not. There's no clarity on why unless you don't intend to build a personal brand. But if you're looking to build a strong personal brand, you need to start. Nothing happens just like that. Everything you see online is planned. Everything is deliberate, especially when you see really strong personal brands. You see people like Tommy K, you see people like Burna Boy, all these different people. If you're starting out, you may not be very deliberate about things, but when you start to build your audience, you have to be very deliberate. You have to be very smart, because that's decision making. It happens in split seconds. People are deciding if they want to connect with your brand or not. And these things are important, because if you're selling a product, for instance, you want to build out, you want that conversion. You want to create a funnel system where people stumble on you and they follow you, they see what you're posting. Eventually you introduce your products, your services, whatever you're influencing for, and people want to buy those things because they've connected with you. And this is why it is important to build that connection. So you go to my page, you see, oh, I had this partnership with the UK government. Okay, so Bolanle does partnerships. Good. If there are partnership opportunities, they'll call me. Oh, this is her story. So this is why she trains women because of this. Nice. Maybe the other one I'm talking about, Happy Sunday. Oh, she's a Christian. This is who she is, her values, all this different. You know who I am. This is what I. So you have to be very deliberate about who you are. Don't be for everybody. Don't say, let me sit on the fence. Let me not be deliberate, so that if people should come, they'll just no. Be who you are. And it's very important, because when you start to post your content, when you start to build your brand, you want the right people to comment on your post. You want the right people to visit your site. People who have the intention to actually use the information you're sharing. So these things are very, very important. I really hope I'm I really hope someone is getting something from this. So you want to build your community, you want to engage with people. In building your community, when people start to engage with you, try to communicate with them. Communication is everything. Let them feel like they're a part of something. Let them feel like, you know, they're part of something really big. I usually say something to people that trust can be transferred. Trust can be transferred. What do I mean by this? If you find people who will just connect with you on a personal level, who will get to fall in love with your personal brand, and they become your brand advocates, right? What would happen is, because they trust you, they would make other people trust you. There's someone who, one of our biggest partnerships, right, at Geneza School came through someone that I know. Not, I got to meet that person on social media, right, through social media. And the person introduced another person and said, "You guys need to work with Bolanle. I've seen her, I've been following her for years. She has integrity, she has this." And the person was vouching for me, someone that I have never met. Why? Because there's a track record. So never see social media as just Instagram. It can change your life forever. I mean, the kind of things, the kind of people, the kind of Twitter, for instance, the kind of people would get to see your post. You have no clue. You have no clue. And those people have a decision to make, whether to follow your brand, whether to follow you or not. And so it means that you have to be very deliberate about how you build and the kind of things that you put out there. I really hope that this conversation is able to change your mindset about what it means to build a personal brand. And I don't want it to just be another conversation where I'm sharing things you can easily find online, but I want you to really, take that information, and then from this session, you go online, you go to your page, you go to your website, and start to just change things around to get the results that you're looking for. So, um, I wrote here, I said that your personal brand is a unique combination of your values, your personal traits, your expertise that sets you apart from others. What makes you different from other people? I don't know if you know Fisaya Fosudo, Fisaya, Kigantech. Now, these are like, they review tech products, but they have things that are unique to them, right? You see Kigantech wear is native, you wear his cap, you have to look for something that makes you different. Like Seth Godin would say, Seth Godin, he called it the purple cow. The purple cow, where you do something. If you're traveling, you see cows. Yeah, everybody has seen a cow before. But if you see a purple cow, you look again. So what is that thing that differentiates you? What can you do with your branding? What can you do differently? Don't take too deep about it. Something that's like a low hanging fruit, something that's very easy for you to do, but that sets you apart from other people. All right. So I'm also going to say, yeah. So that's basically what that's basically everything. But let me just talk about you know building. I think I already spoke. Yeah, I already spoke on this. But I was also going to say that yeah, I was going to talk about defining your brand. There's still so much. I don't talk about so much, but I don't want to bore you guys. But I want you to get value from the conversation. I don't think I can cover everything, but let me just continue anyway. So you want to define your brand. We've talked about how to stay consistent, why you should build your personal brand, how to take your followers, being from just followers to bring your brand advocates. But let's talk about defining your brand, right? So you need to also think about how to define your brand. You have to craft your personal mission, your mission statements that reflects everything that you stand for. What do you stand for? What is your mission statement? What is it that's what is that one thing that that keeps you awake at night? The thing that what do you live for? For me, I live for women empowerment, and I am genuinely passionate about empowering people, about teaching design. I can talk about design all day because I'm passionate about design. So my mission is to empower more people, to get more people to take advantage of the opportunities in tech. I can say it in my sleep because I've been doing that for like a couple of years. So if you're just starting out, what is your mission? And don't worry, your mission can change. You don't have to have everything all figured out. Take your time. Your mission can change. But where you are right now, what is your mission? Even if it looks very big, still it can still be your mission. I want to train 50,000 people, women, men, and I've only trained 7,000. And I'm like, oh my God, I still have a long way to go, but at least I've started. So you can always start with what you have. You can always start with whatever level you're at the moment. So, but you need to craft your mission. What is your mission statement? You don't have to be a big establishment or a big company, a big brand for you to have a mission. A mission is that thing that just keeps you going, right? So you also want to, create a portfolio. So let's say that your portfolio is not necessarily like your design portfolio. It could be a portfolio about yourself. So if you check my page, you have Vizi. Vizi, I used Vizi platform to create like a page that just talks about everything that I do. So the first thing you find is I section my brand into two different categories, right? The first one is my expertise. I'm a designer. I design for brands. I create identities for companies. That is what I do. But on the other hand, I also empower people. So if you look at the Vizi sites that I created, you'll see that the first section talks about the work that I do, my portfolio. The second section talks about my empowerment work. So you can always divide the things that you do so people can actually understand, you know, everything that you stand for. And it's very important you do that so that they're not confused. So um, I think I already spoke about building your community, creating your online presence. So last but not least, I'll just talk about a couple of things that I think that you should consider when you're building a personal brand. Um, so the first thing is we've talked about authenticity. Authenticity. Be authentic. Being authentic doesn't mean that you should share everything or share your personal life. I don't think so. I think that being authentic means that just being yourself, being yourself at all times. Um, okay, someone's asking about community building. I think I'll touch on that very soon. I think I already touched on that, but I didn't speak on that. And I have about 5 minutes to go. Okay, so let's talk about authentic. So be authentic as much as possible, right? Ensure that, because let me say this, right? Every brand has a tone of voice, every brand has a language, and every brand has a brand archetype, right? Every brand has a brand archetype. I don't want to geek out on you guys, but if you can go read about these things. So every brand has a brand archetype. A brand archetype is like the personality of your brand, who you are as a person. So there are brands that are hero brands, there are brands that are different types, so there are joker brands, there are different types of brand archetypes, right? And you want to think about your brand as a personality because you're a person. So your brand should reflect who you are. But at the same time, you should always think about your brand should always align. Everything about your brand should speak the same language in the sense that don't come today and speak in one language and tomorrow you're speaking another language. And that's why I've seen people who are building their personal brand and they are on Instagram, they're like, oh, I do this and that. Maybe they teach children or they have like some educational platform. And on Twitter, they're posting, cussing at people and just doing all sort of things on Twitter. I'm like, there's that disconnect. You have to be consistent. If you have to create another page to do whatever you want to do, that's fine. But when you're building your personal brand, you have to ensure that whatever you do with your personal brand actually affects your business, whatever you're promoting. So there has to be, you cannot afford to have any sort of disconnection, right? You don't want that disconnect at any point. So your brand has to be authentic. You also have to seek feedback at different points. There are times that I want to post something and I would ask my team, I'll be like, is this consistent with my branding? Does this reflect me? The people who have reached out to us to say, oh, we want Bolanle to talk about this, we want her to promote something. And my assistant will say, this doesn't align with your brand. It doesn't reflect who you are. I'll be like, yeah, that's true. That makes sense. And we just drop it. So it's not everything you promote. It's not everything you talk about. It has to be consistent with the branding. All these things that you're doing, you're not just wasting your time. You're not just speaking English. You are building trust. You're building a consistent brand. You're building trust in the minds of people. People get to easily remember you. People get to trust who you are. They've never met you, but they can almost say, I can vouch for this person. I don't know Fisayo. I've never, okay, I think I met Fisayo once. But I can there's this confidence I have in Fisayo that if you should recommend a particular gadget, I'll buy it because it's Fisayo. Why? He has built trust. He has built that consistency is there. So speak one language. Don't speak one language today and speak another language tomorrow. Let your language, let your tone be consistent at all times. Um, I'll say that. So let me talk about community building. I'll just touch on community building. Building your community, like I said before, the first thing first is create. systems, put systems in place to ensure that people understand what you do. Like I said before, I've also practiced this personally, and it works for me. I realized that before people would follow my page and be like, "Who is this lady? What does she do? She's posting today. She's posting scholarship tomorrow. What does she do exactly?" So I created those systems where I ensure that my bio says exactly what I do. I ensure that the things that I pin to my post or to my page are things that I want people to know about me. So you know that this is what she does. If you check my highlights, for instance, you see, oh, she does this, she likes this, she does this. She can invite her to speak at it. She speaks at events, she designs, she paints. Create those. Let that structure be there. Let it be that when I go to your page, I can tell what you do, and you can always test it out. After you've created that system around your page, right, around your branding, your website, your pages, whatever, send your page or your platform wherever you are, your LinkedIn page, your Instagram, whatever platform that you use consistently, send it to your friends and just ask one simple question. What do you perceive? What do you think? What do you think I do? Who do you think I am? What vibe are you getting from me? Whatever they tell you is exactly what your brand is. Because your brand is not necessarily about what you think your brand is. Your brand is what their own perception is about you. And that is what you need to really change. Because perception is a currency. And people's perception of you is the gateway to many things. It will be that game. Like I said before, someone links me up with someone I've never met the both of them, but they just were able to connect with my brand and they had that partnership with me and it was such a big deal. And these are things that can happen from just building your brand and ensuring that you are consistent with what you're building. I think there was something I was going to say about community building as well. That network with people, collaborate with people. If you're trying to build your following, for instance, get people who already have like a large following, and if possible, get them to do free things for them. Get them to collaborate with you. Join them at join sessions. Reach out. Some things may have to be mechanical you know before they become automatic, where people just start sending you invitations. Sometimes you need to put yourself out there. Okay, hi guys, my name is this. I want you having an event. I'd like to speak. Then you're beginning to show people that yes, I'm an authority in this field, little by little. Let me tell you something. No brand is built in one day. Like everything that we've seen, all the brands we love, all the brands we've had reasons to connect with, they've spent years building that connection. If you look at Nike, for instance, or you look at Adidas, there's that connection. What do you think? I was talking to my brother one time, and he told me that because he buys Nikes a lot and he's always buying them. Like, why do you buy this particular brand? He says to me, he said to me, he said, Bolanle, every time I see the swoosh, the Nike swoosh logo, I feel like I've done something good for myself. It feels like a pass mark, like I've worked really hard and I want to buy this. And you have no idea what connections people build. Very sometimes it can even go like very extreme. People can connect with your brand and they can make really big decisions in their lives because they've connected with you. So yeah, that brings us to the end of today's conversation. I really do hope that you found this really, I don't know, useful. You can ask me questions. I think I have just about maybe 10 minutes more to answer a couple of questions, but I really hope you enjoyed this. Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Wow, wow, wow. Thank you. Thank you so much. This was as natural as I didn't imagine it was going to flow this smoothly. I mean, I can see the reason why you didn't want to use slide or anything. You wanted it to flow freely, and it did. And this was really amazing. I'm very sure every other person on this call actually felt amazing like I did. So this is the time where we actually get to ask questions. So if you're on this call, right, you might not be able to speak with Bolale again because she's very, very busy. And she's a very busy woman, so, and a business person. So basically, if you want to engage her on anything, especially questions about finding purpose and crafting your personal brand, this is the time to actually speak up. Because if you want to reach out to her now, two things might happen. You have to pay to see her, or you have to book a session with her. And booking a session, you might be like the 500 person, you know, on our call list. So again, if you want to ask any question, now is the time. But I will just open the floor while every other person is trying to put their questions together. So my question is not really a question, it's just something I personally experienced as well. um Personally, I've been battling with building a personal brand. Reason, two things, yeah. Survival. Number one, I won't even lie. Survival, yeah. Because I observed that when you want to build a personal brand, it takes time and dedication. And while you're building a personal brand, right, you still have to survive and live and everything. And this journey can be really, really lonely and challenging, especially financial wise. An example was in 2021, I think I tried to start a YouTube channel where I talk about marketing, sales and everything. And I actually spent a chunk of my money then to buy gadgets, cameras and everything, right? So I remember creating like the 15th video. I was still in about 26 subscribers and everything. And Sapa was actually holding me because if I go to work 9 to 5, I won't even have the time to create some of these things, right? The only time I have is weekend, and I also have other activities like family, church, and everything. So people do not talk about that transition moment enough, you know. To be honest, they don't talk about the challenges, that comes up, and probably how to tackle this challenge. So my question is this: how do you handle this transition moment, right? How do you handle it to make sure that as much as you want to create a personal brand, you are also trying to be big on life as well, you're also trying to survive, and you to make it easy, basically. So that's my question.
Okay. Okay. That's actually a very good question because there are a lot of people who struggle with this, and I feel like, and that's a very sincere question because people pretend a lot online. I always tell people that don't compare your life with the lives of other people online because many people are pretending. Everybody's rich on Twitter. Everybody has money on Twitter. Don't believe all those things. And you're trying to build a personal brand. We're thinking about, okay, how do I build with the resources that I have? How do I ensure that um, people are still, I'm able to still be something that's actually substantial, but then I'm not, you know, I don't know, I'm not killing myself doing it. I think the first thing first is to kind of like manage, like I said before, be authentic. I remember when I started TFDM, that's the female designer movement. What I told, I was sincere about I said, I want to train 300 women, but I don't even have a space to use. I remember that my boss, my first, one of my first boss ever, she reached out to me and she said, Bolanle, come and use my space. But if I said, oh, this is this, I have this, nobody will help you. So sometimes you have to just be yourself. Like, do not overshare, but be yourself. Let people know that this is where you are. As a matter of fact, the more sincere you are, the more people are able to connect with you, the more people are able to feel like they're part of your journey. So if you tell people, for instance, that people who would say, "Oh, I'm a part of this person's community." They practically watched the person go. They practically maybe they saw the person's the first skit, and now the person is a global maybe content person, content creator, and they will feel like, yeah, we met this person. They feel like they're part of something big, and so you need to be that authentic. Like I said, you don't have to share everything. I'm very careful. I try to be as authentic as possible. I try to let people know this is where I am, this is what I do. But at the same time, I don't necessarily share my entire life on social media, but share the things that are useful for what you're building. Let people know, oh, this is where I am, this is what I'm doing. Let people know what your goals are, what you're looking to achieve. So that when you start to achieve those things, they feel like they've been a part of it. And that is a very good thing to have. So like I would say, like I said before, be authentic. Start with what you have. I think I recently posted a video where I talked about how I currently use my phone to shoot. and then I bought a camera once, and it was so difficult for me to use. I was being sincere. Imagine if I was just trying to act like, oh, Bolanle is a designer. I know everything. I know. I struggle with using some cameras. When it starts with all those settings, it stresses me. I'm like, nah, I can't even deal. So I use my phone. And so sometimes sharing those things kind of shows people that it shows people that you're very human and that there are things that you struggle with. This is where you are. So I'll say that if you're trying to build something, start with what you have. Use your phone. Use your background is not the nicest. Start with what you have, especially if you're comfortable sharing what you're sharing. If you're not comfortable sharing, it's fine. But if you're looking to build something, start with what you have. Let people see the progression. Let people see that this is where you're starting from, so they can vouch for you. You didn't just appear from somewhere and suddenly, maybe if you go to buy. Let me tell you something. I would trust someone who spent maybe the last 5 years of their lives building their page, and they have maybe 5K followers. I'll trust that person. There's someone who appeared from nowhere. Someone went to buy someone's page and the person bought 10,000 followers. I'm like, who are you? Where did you come from? Why should I trust you? I'm scrolling through your page and I can't see anything. I don't know who you are. I cannot trust you. And we need a tiny little bit of trust on social media to engage people. Like, I bought this big on social media. Why did I buy it? I checked their page. They've been selling since 2012. These things are very important. I mean, there are still scammers anyway who can build a very good story and background, but let's leave those ones on one side. But if you're building your brand, it is fine to share your story. It is fine for people to know where you're coming from, where you are currently. So I hope I answered your question, but build with what you have. It builds trust in the minds of people, and it also helps them to feel like they're a part of your journey. So yeah.
All right. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. That was amazing. Okay.
Oh,
So we have
okay.
another question from Akogun Toroti. He says,
Okay.
how can you deliberately create digital footprint for your brand? If I want people to see the right information about me when they look me up on Google, what can I do to curate this kind of results I want to show up?
Okay. There's something called search engine optimization (SEO) that you can actually do. I think there are tools that you can use, and I think that apart from having SEO done, I think that everything I've talked about, you might feel like it might seem like all those things are just little bits and pieces, but I'm assuring you that if you try them out, I'm talking about collaboration, I'm talking about sharing your story, I'm talking about creating content, I'm talking about, getting your profile ready, all these different things, they go a long way. So that when people start to Google you, start to see what you've done. If you Google my name, for instance, or you Google any other person, you get to see pictures, the events they visited, or the places they visited, people they've collaborated with. That is the easiest way. Collaboration, connection, places, stories. When you go to a place, you're invited to speak somewhere. Talk about it, add it to your profile, build your website, have a personal website, be in places. And let me tell you something. The person said, okay, how do you get your page out there? How do you get yourself out there? See, when you're building your personal brand, one of the most important things that you can ever do for yourself, one of the most important things, right, have is to build, I don't know, some sort of relationship, or build some sort of connection with other people who are doing what you do, maybe on a bigger scale. So what do I mean? If for instance I'm invited to Google's office, so maybe Google is inviting me and they're not even paying me, I might decide to go because I'm like, it is Google. They already have that reach. So if I go for that event and I am invited to speak and they post about it maybe on their social media, on their website, when you Google my name, because of how big the establishment is, my name pops up fast. Or you get to see more about me. So in building your brand, the kind of people you collaborate with, that's why people, all these kit makers, that's why they'll take the one that has the smaller following, we try to connect with the one that has a bigger following. All, yeah, it's kind of like exchanging value. So look for people who are building things. Look at organizations. They don't have to pay you at first. Just say, oh, I want to speak at your event. I want to do this. You know what you're getting. You're getting visibility. And that visibility helps. The more you're in the faces of people, the more they get to remember you, the more they get to trust you. And that trust, improves, or that trust builds, it helps you build your brand equity. right? The more so equity talks about the value people place on your brand. It also helps you, build your following. It helps you build your brand advocates, all these different things. I really hope I answered your question. Um,
Yes. All right,
yeah.
thank you. So we have one more question from Zainab, and I think that might be
Okay.
the last question because we've actually spent about 1 hour on this.
Yeah.
So the last question is um what if you have multiple skills, right? Do you focus on one? And I think what Zainab is trying to talk about is some people have like two, they are very good at two or three different skills, right? And most likely, most of the information you have about personal branding or finding purpose is just focus on one thing, one uniqueness and everything. And then
Yeah.
who are so I think what Zainab is trying to say is what if you are passionate about two or to three things, you have multiple skills that you're very good at. What do you do? Do you have to focus on one and leave the rest, or how do you handle that when you're building a unique identity?
Okay. So to answer that question, I'd like to say that um, this is something a lot of people struggle with as well, where they have different skills, they do different things. But when it comes to getting people to retain some sort of knowledge about your brand, when it comes to getting building a memorable brand, building something that people can easily remember, you want to start with just one. Now, um, I'm saying this because it is difficult. So let's say we have maybe three persons. We have Kunle, we have Aziz, we have Chukwebuka. Maybe we have these three people, and maybe Aziz is maybe is a, let's say, what does Aziz do? Let's say he's a UX designer. And maybe Chukwuebuka is very talented. He has different skills. So let me tell you something. It is easy, or it's easier basically. So how do I explain this? If someone says to me, Bolanle, we want you to recommend someone. It's easier for me to recommend Aziz because everything is always posting about UX design, and my brain, I don't have to do so much thinking, so much hard work thinking before remembering Aziz. But for Chukwuebuka, it does many things. When I go to his page, I'm seeing different things every day. It is difficult to associate him with one thing. So you can have all these different skills, but have a dominant skill that people know you for. For instance, I'm a brand identity designer, but I still paint. I paint, I make sketches, I make illustrations. Um, there are a couple of other things that I still do, but I do not um, I do a bit of UX design as well, UI design and UX design, but I don't show that off. I don't let people. I don't. That's not my dominant. They're not my dominant skills, right? So I don't show that. I don't let people see that when they come in contact with me for the first time. The first thing I want them to see is I'm a brand designer. So have a dominant skill, and then all those other skills can just come as supporting skill where people just know, okay, this person does this. But let them remember you for something. It's very important, and you can also like to confirm what I'm saying, think about all the people you know. Think about people on your contact list. When you say maybe this person's a mechanic, this. How do you store their names? Do you say this person is a mechanic, this. So you store their name with one skill, with one thing, because that's what you want to remember them for. So you don't want to confuse people. Have all your skills, it's good. You can have it on your website. But when they think about your brand, what is that dominant skill? What is that dominant thing they think about when they think about your brand? It is the easiest way to get into the minds of people. If you draw, let's know that you draw. If you sing, let's know that you sing. But that you draw and you sing and you dance, ah, it will be difficult to remember you. You're multi-talented, but how do we remember you? Easily. How do we recommend you easily? Yeah, I hope that helps.
Okay. Okay, yeah, so I'm so sorry, but we have like one question here that I feel like you
Okay,
could just answer and then round things up. So yeah,
okay.
the question is, in terms of finance, how do you grow yourself in getting the right equipment, and is it advisable to take a loan? That's from Akpata Yomide.
Okay. Um, so taking a loan to build a personal brand may not be the best may not be the best thing to do, because the question is, building a personal brand is a very, very um it's a playing the long game basically. It's a process. It's a very long process. So if you're taking a loan, you have to pay back. The question is, what if you don't get deals, you don't get partnerships in the first? 1 year or 2 years. The people will tell you that they've been on social media, they've been posting on YouTube, and they didn't start making money until maybe 5 years later. So you need to think about the end game. Why do you want to do what you're doing? The end game. You want to build trust first. Why do brands like Coca-Cola, they're already big? Why are they still sponsoring all these games? Why is it that Nike is sponsoring all these games? Because they're trying to get into the minds of people. It's a long game. You may not be able to measure the effect, but the effect you notice that the effect you're able to measure it over time, basically. So do not get a loan to buy equipment. Start with what you have. I'm saying this because I don't know how to emphasize. I'm saying this because it is so important. You cannot afford to um don't build expectations that you cannot. Don't build unnecessary expectations, right? So you don't say, oh, I'm starting content creation now, somebody will just call me tomorrow. No, sometimes you need to, it takes time, and sometimes it could come, you never really know. So start with what you have. Like I said before, I use my phone, and you could start with your phone, with get a light. If you're not able to get this soft boxes, get a ring light, and you could get family and friends to contribute money and give. Say, I want to start my content creation game career, or please, donate money, but do not get a loan, because you may not be able to recover that money immediately. It might just be a bad decision, and it's going to put you under pressure to start to do things that you shouldn't do because you are desperate. You get, yeah. There's sometimes that you'd create a video and no one is going to care about the video. What do? When the algorithm is a mess, you start to get depressed. So do not do that. Yeah. So thank you very much. I think that this should be
Okay.
the end.
Yeah. So that would be all. Oh God, we are getting more question now. So before I read it out, I just want to ask: Do you want me to ask the question?
Okay, let's just take one more question and then end, because I also need to do other things.
All right, yeah, I understand. Right, it's
Yeah.
just 1 hour right now. So the last question, please, everybody. If you want to ask more question, you might have to connect with her on social media, and she'll definitely reach out. So the last question now is: Now that we know we are not meant to show all skills at first, how do we start all over again? Yeah, I think this question is also for me, right? I'm on and off when it comes to creating personal branding. Like I said, survival mode and everything. So now that you have actually gingered me personally, I feel like I'm having this urge to go on my social media where I show some stuff, and I'll just delete everything and take it seriously. So I don't know, how do we start all over again? I think that question is from Kikachuku. So let's just answer that and we just call it a day.
Okay, thank you very much. I think I'm going to say something very important now. I'm going to say that don't delete anything. It's part of your journey.
Wow.
Now, one thing you should also know is this. There's something Salem King said that I'll never forget. He said your social media page is like your portfolio. You may post something and people may not react to it. But in 1 year, in 2 years, someone is going to stumble on your page and that information is going to be very useful for that person. But if you delete it because there is no engagement, it doesn't make sense. So leave it. Let it be there. Let them know that, okay, when you scroll to the end of your page, you used to do this and you used to do other things. And I'm not saying that you should hide your skills, but just let one be the dominant skill. Let it be the skill that people know you for. That this lady talk about, oh, she speaks very well, she's very eloquent, she can invite her to program. Let them just know that this is what you do. And then she does other things as well, which is fine. So like I was saying, so let it be part of your story. Don't delete anything. Your next post can be, it's gradual. Your next post is just people will notice that you're being more focused. You're posting this more, little by little, people can see the change. Don't announce. Now, oh, guys, please don't call me for this thing again. I no longer illustrate. I no longer now I only dance. No. Make it as natural as possible. Start to post just the things that you want to post, and people will get it. You know, people will get it. Okay, so
Okay.
thank you so much. This was so much fun, by the way. Thank you so
Yes,
much.
yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. On behalf of the Coachly team, we want to say thank you for doing this with us. We really appreciate your presence. We appreciate your insights and much more. We appreciate the interaction we have been able to build and the connection. So thank you so much from the team, and thank you for helping us with our summit. This is our first ever summit, by the way, and thank you so much for teaching and helping us get this off the ground. So
No.
thank you, and I will stop the recording now. I just want to
Okay.
say that this summit continues on Friday. That's our third class, and the host will be Prince Dynamic on Friday, same time, 4 p.m. And you should expect to get an email to prompt you to actually attend the call. So if you're on this call, please, you can join in on Friday again. We don't want this to get boring, and that's why we actually make it 3 times a week. So we have different topics, different experts trying to teach us. So thank you so much. I will really appreciate it. Thank you again, Bolanle. Thank you, Peace, for helping us put this together with Bolanle. You're an amazing assistant. Thank you so much. We appreciate you, and everyone that attended this call. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. So I'll have to stop the call now. Thank you, and we'll see you on Friday. Bye.